James Kaufman, World News Report today, March 18th, 2025. God bless you and yours, no matter where you are in the world. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell for critical future updates. Chief of Staff Stephen Miller absolutely destroys CNN's Kasie Hunt. The fake news media got another brutal reality check, courtesy of White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, who utterly annihilated CNN's Kasie Hunt in a heated legal debate. The so-called journalist, who fancies herself as an expert on constitutional law, was left stammering and gasping for air as Miller methodically dismantled her weak leftist talking points about the president's constitutional authority over national security. Hunt, like many in the fake news media, tried to push a ridiculous narrative that a single district court judge has the power to override the commander-in-chief's authority to protect America from foreign threats. But Miller, armed with the actual knowledge of the law, obliterated her arguments by citing the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, which explicitly empowers the president to repel foreign threats without interference from activist judges.
So you called the judge's order just earlier today, quote, patently unlawful, end quote, and said that it was an assault on democracy itself. Does that mean that the administration is ignoring this order, and might you ignore future court orders that meet the criteria you laid out?
The President of the United States and his administration reserve all rights under the Constitution to conduct national security operations in defense of the United States. The Alien Enemies Act, which was passed into law by the founding generation of this country, men like John Adams, was written explicitly to give the President the authority to repel an alien invasion of the United States. That is not something that a district court judge has any authority whatsoever to interfere with, to enjoin, to restrict, or to restrain any way. You can read the law yourself. There's not one clause in that law that makes it subject to judicial review, let alone district court review.
So, Stephen, when you say that this person has no authority at all, this is how our system works. It starts with these judges and then continues up. At what point does it become, in your view, legal for the justice system to be looking at this and making a judgment? And I fail to see how there's any other way but to start with where we're starting here before you get to eventually the Supreme Court.
Well, so first of all, there's a term in law, justiciable. This is not justiciable. In other words, this is not subject to judicial remedy. When the president is exercising his Article 2 powers to defend the country against an invasion or to repel a foreign terrorist that is unlawfully in the country, he's exercising his core Article 2 powers as commander-in-chief.
Is Venezuela invading the U.S.?
This is a very important point. This is a Title 50 authority. It's a commander-in-chief authority. So just to ask you a simple question, you talk about how the system works. Does a district court judge have the right to direct or enjoin troop movements overseas? Yes or no?
Well, Stephen, my question, if you can answer my question first.
In other words,
is Venezuela invading our country in a way that would
TDA, so I'll answer yours and you'll answer mine. Under the terms of the statute, Tren de Aragua is an alien enemy force that has come here as detailed at length in the proclamation at the direction of the Venezuelan government. The statute says that a president has the ability to repel an invasion or predatory incursion that is directed by a foreign
state or a government, right? Are they a state or a government?
This would be, yes, it is documented. The TDA was sent by the Venezuelan government in the proclamation. And here's an even more important point. Under the Constitution, who makes that determination? A district court judge elected by no one, or the commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy? The president and the president alone makes a decision of what triggers that determination.
So do you then think we are actually at war with Venezuela, the nation state of Venezuela?
You're not hearing me and you're not understanding me. Read the statute. Alien Enemies Act, 1798. It says if a predatory incursion is perpetrated by a foreign government, so it lists three qualifying actions. It could be an
It
act of
does
war.
say at the
It
very
could-
beginning,
it could-
there has to be a declared war against a nation or a
No.
state. That's what it says.
No. Wrong. Look up the statute. It's on my account on social
That's
media.
actually where we
You
found
can see
it.
Yes. It says, or a predatory incursion, or an invasion. The statute delineates 3 criteria for triggering the Alien Enemies Act. One is an act of war, which, by the way, an invasion is an act of war, but put that aside. One is an invasion, which this is. One is a predatory incursion, which this is. So it actually meets all 3 statutory criteria, but with respect to this particular statute, the proclamation is utilizing the incursion and invasion language in the statute.
So
but this is a
big
very
picture,
important question, because no, hold on. It's a very important question. You said the way our system works is the President of the United States commands the armed forces of the country, commands the foreign policy of the country, and that's subject to district court review. That's fundamentally untrue.
I never said that, Stephen. I did not say
That's never been true.
this was not a military
A district court judge can no more enjoin the expulsion of foreign terrorists to foreign soil than he can direct the movement of Air Force One, than he can direct the movement of an aircraft carrier, than he can direct Marco Rubio to engage
do you
in
think the
diplomacy in
Supreme
a
Court has
country
any
or
say
not
over
to.
this or not? Like, does the Supreme Court of the United States have any say over the things that you were just outlining right here?
I believe what the Supreme Court will say is what I just said, which is that the president's conduct here is not subject to
Okay,
judicial
but you are
review.
acknowledging that they do in fact have a say here,
Well,
even though you think they may agree with you.
what we are expecting is the Supreme Court to say what has always been the case, which is when the president is using his powers as commander-in-chief, those determinations are not subject to judicial review. In other words, the president's designation of Tren Darwagwa as a foreign terrorist organization and as an alien enemy are part of his inherent plenary authority. There is no way.
At what point in the
There is
system,
no way.
Stephen,
How are you going to expel?
power?
How are you going to expel illegal alien invaders from our country who are raping little girls, who are murdering little girls, if each and every deportation has to be adjudicated in a district court judge? If that means you have no country, it means you have no sovereignty, it means you have no future. It is fundamentally incompatible to have a country and have individual expulsions adjudicated by a single district court judge.
I'm just trying to figure out at what point in the
impossible.
system do you, because what does the Trump administration believe? Because we do have separation of powers in this country. I hear what you're saying.
Yes,
you're saying the
separation of
district
powers.
court does
This
not
is the
have
judiciary
authority.
interfering
Stephen,
in
let me
the
finish.
executive function.
Let me
That is
finish.
the separation
Okay.
of power. That is the
Did
separation
you
of power.
ignore the judge's order here because you thought you could?
So, the judge's order and the actions taken by the Departments of Defense, Justice, and Homeland Security are not in conflict. And the Department of Justice has been clear that they are not in conflict. But
So you think that you did go along with the order that the judge put out? You do not think that the Trump administration
As
defied this order?
As the Justice Department said, there is no conflict between the judge's order and the actions taken by the departments I just listed. But I'm making a deeper and more fundamental point.
Yeah.
The district
So,
court
yeah, I mean, you don't have to
has
follow
no
it. Why
ability.
didn't you?
The district court has no ability to in any way restrain the president's authorities under the Alien Enemies Act or his ability to conduct the foreign affairs of the United States. Let me paint a picture for you. President Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio had engaged in intensive diplomacy to obtain a bilateral security agreement with the nation of El Salvador. If a district court judge can join that bilateral security agreement, then we do not have a democracy.
You made your argument.
We do not have a foreign policy.
We've heard you say this. Did you ignore, did the administration ignore the order from the district judge? It's a simple question.
I've answered it. I've answered it because this department has made a filing in the court. But let me make another point. The judge, in this case, put the lives of every single person on those aircraft at risk. Did he know how much fuel was in those planes? Did he know the flight conditions? Did he know the weather conditions? Did he know how many crew hours? Did he know the need for crew rest? Did he know any of that? No. This judge violated the law. He violated the Constitution. He defied the system of government that we have in this country.
Because that does seem to be what you're arguing.
These same district court judges didn't do a damn thing to stop Joe Biden from flooding this nation with millions of illegal aliens. These district court judges didn't issue any injunctions to save the lives of Jocelyn Montgomery, Lincoln Riley, or anyone else.
Courts. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that what you said, there's a separation of powers. The judiciary exercises
Stephen,
judgment and relief.
I don't speak for the White House. You are here to speak
I
for
will
the
do.
You're here to speak for the White House. I just want you to answer
do.
that one simple question.
I am. Ready? Here we go. Under a proper reading of the Constitution, district court judges provide relief to individual plaintiffs seeking relief. District court judges do not have the authority, as a general matter, to enjoin the functioning of the executive branch, but their authority is at its lowest point when the president is exercising his powers as commander-in-chief. And I asked you a question, you never answered it. Can a judge enjoin troop movements overseas? Can a district court judge enjoin troop movements overseas?
Stephen,
yes or no?
I am not going to get into the
Just say no, then you'll know that I'm right.
This is a
Just
separate
say no,
question,
and you'll know that I'm
Stephen.
right.
Okay, we're not talking about other
Is the president?
I need to ask you about
If
something
not,
else.
the
that's
president
important.
issued a proclamation delineating in detail how the Venezuelan regime sent this gang, this terrorist organization, to our shores. And by the way, and I love being here, but all the outrage that we are seeing.
Now, let's just ask ourselves, why does the left, disagree with expelling all these gang members and killers back to their home country? I guess that's the very biggest question. She's so argumentative, it's beyond ridiculous. The way the left must think is something I just don't understand, unless they're just plain evil. God bless you and yours. Please share, subscribe, and always remember, anything's possible in Bizarro World.